Should you buy the new 2026 Honda Passport? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. Honda has completely redesigned the Passport for 2026, and after spending a week test driving it, I'm going to share 10 reasons why I think this SUV is a real winner and might just be the best option if you're looking for a spacious, mid-sized SUV. And I'm also going to share 5 reasons why it might not be, where Honda might have gotten things wrong. But first, let's start things off with the positives, starting with the first reason why this SUV is a real winner, which is the ride and handling. Now, normally these type of SUVs that are designed to be rugged and off-road capable are built on a body-on-frame platform. The Toyota 4Runner, the Jeep Wrangler, the Ford Bronco, and a few others. And even though that's great for off-roading, the problem with that is that it makes these SUVs somewhat uncomfortable and very difficult to live with on a daily basis. But that's not an issue with the Passport because this is a unibody SUV, so it's built the same way as any other crossover or regular car, which gives it much better ride quality and handling. So it's not going to fatigue you and tire you out the way some of those body-on-frame SUVs might. In fact, this is a very smooth driving SUV. Honda extended the wheelbase and increased the size, and they've also increased the structural rigidity to make it stronger and stiffer, all of which helps with the ride quality. Another great thing Honda did was they resisted the trend to go with super large, ridiculous 20-inch or 21-inch wheels. All versions of the Passport come standard with reasonably sized 18-inch wheels with extra thick tires, which also help smoothen out the ride. And because of its unibody construction, it also has surprisingly good handling, which means you can actually take corners pretty well. So basically what you get are the looks of this boxy, rugged off-road SUV with the same comfort and everyday usability as a regular car or crossover. And I think that's a really attractive combination. Now, getting on to the number 2 reason why I think this SUV is a real winner, which is the fact that it comes with a proper V6 engine. That's right, the Passport gets a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 engine. No turbochargers, no tiny 4-cylinder engine that's struggling for power, just a nice, proper V6. And that really makes a difference. It really makes this feel like a more substantial SUV that's worth its price point. It's a very smooth, refined engine, and it has more than enough power. 285 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. And you also get a very smooth shifting 10-speed automatic transmission, a conventional transmission designed by Honda. It's a very good drivetrain. And not only is the performance and the refinement of this drivetrain really good, but then you have the number 3 reason that makes this SUV a real winner, which is its reputation for reliability. Honda has been using this drivetrain in its vehicles for some time now. It was first introduced in the larger Pilot back in 2022. And even well before that, Honda has been using a variant of this V6 engine for over 20 years. So it has a proven track record for being very reliable and long-lasting. And yes, while this engine does make some concessions to modern emissions regulations, it does have cylinder deactivation, it does have engine start-stop, which fortunately you can deactivate, and it does have direct fuel injection. And again, fortunately, Honda doesn't have any carbon issues with that system. But even so, I am more than happy to accept all of that in exchange for having a naturally aspirated V6 over a smaller 4-cylinder turbo any day. Sure, their reliability is not always perfect, but Honda really knows what it's doing generally when it comes to building engines. That's really their area of expertise, and it's not difficult to find owners of Passports, Pilots, and Ridgelines who have driven their vehicles well over 200,000 miles or 300,000 kilometers without any complaints. So when it comes to reliability, I do think that this is a good, safe choice. Another great thing about this drivetrain is reason number 4 why the Passport is a real winner, which is its towing capacity. The Passport has a very impressive towing capacity of up to 5,000 pounds, and it even comes standard with a proper tow hitch and connector on most trims. So this is really an SUV that's designed for towing, and if that's what you're looking for, this is an SUV that's going to work well for you. It should also work really well for you if you plan to go off the pavement, because we have reason number 5 that makes this SUV a real winner, and that's its off-road capability. Now, even though it's not a body-on-frame SUV with a proper 4-wheel drive system with a 2-speed transfer case and a low range, it's still very impressive for what it is. The Passport comes standard with an all-wheel drive system with torque vectoring capability that can move the power around depending on where it's needed. It has around 8.3 inches of ground clearance, an off-road tuned suspension, full metal steel skid plates, recovery hooks. It comes standard with all-terrain tires, and if you go for the top trim, you also get a Trail Watch camera system, which is really nice. And of course, you have various drive modes which you can choose from depending on what kind of terrain you're on. And not only is it built to handle some off-road conditions, but Honda even offers a variety of accessories which are really good for that outdoorsy lifestyle, including a roof platform system or a roof basket. You can even get a cargo table which can be stored in the cargo area, and even available cargo hatch tent, which is pretty neat. And even though it might not be able to do the same crazy level of off-roading that some of those other SUVs can do, I think for 95% of buyers, this is going to do the job just right. Most buyers really just want to have the look, the feel of a big off-road SUV, which this has, but the comfort and the everyday usability of a regular car or crossover. And I think that's a really attractive combination that buyers are really going to go for here. And then we have reason number 6 why this is such an excellent SUV, and that's the interior space. This is an incredibly spacious SUV. It has absolutely enormous back seats and a huge cargo area, which is no surprise given that it's built on the same platform as the Honda Pilot and Odyssey, and realistically it's not that much smaller than a Pilot. Really, it's just removing the 3rd row of seats, so you have tons of room for 4 tall adults to sit comfortably and a huge cargo area for all your stuff. And another great thing about the cargo area is reason number 7 that makes this an excellent SUV, which is the fact that it comes with a proper spare tire. That's right, you get a spare tire underneath the cargo floor, a desirable option that's disappearing from a lot of new vehicles. Now, it is a compact spare, but what's really neat is that Honda has actually created a cutout on the left side of the cargo floor, which you can flip over and fit a full-size spare tire up vertically. And that means you can actually have both a full-size spare and a compact spare in the vehicle at the same time. And then we have reason number 8 why this SUV is a winner, which is the user-friendliness of the interior controls. Now, Honda did upgrade the technology in this new Passport. You have a full digital driver display that's reconfigurable depending on what kind of information you want to see. And we also have a fairly large 12.3-inch touchscreen display, which has a Google-based user interface, which means you have all your Google apps that are built right in. It's very straightforward, very responsive, and easy to use. And it comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And not only is the touchscreen very user-friendly, but you also have plenty of physical controls, which means that this is a very user-friendly, approachable interior that's not going to take much time to figure out. And it's not only user-friendly, but very practical. You have tons of storage space all over the place, which is really nice to see. And then we have reason number 9 why this SUV is a real winner, and that's the value for money that it offers. The pricing for the Passport ranges between 46 to 54,000 US, or around 59 to 64,000 Canadian. That's MSRP plus delivery and destination before dealer fees and sales tax. The reason for the big difference in the base price between both countries is that the US gets a RTL base model, which is not offered in Canada. In Canada, we basically only get the Trailsport and the Trailsport Touring, which is called the Trailsport Elite in the US, or you can get a blacked out version of both trims. No, it's not a cheap SUV, but compared to some of the other rugged off-road SUVs that are just as big, the pricing is actually pretty aggressive, and especially considering the fact that it comes with a nice big V6 engine. And the other reason why this is a good value is reason number 10 why this SUV is a real winner, which is its resale value. Hondas traditionally have excellent resale value, and that comes from its reputation for making very well made, reliable vehicles that tend to last a really long time. So this is an SUV that's not only great to own for long-term ownership if you want to keep it until the wheels fall off, but if you need to trade it in or sell it down the road, you're still going to get an excellent price for it. So clearly there is a lot to like with the new Passport, but there's also a few reasons why this SUV might not be the best choice and where Honda might have gotten things wrong. Starting with the first problem that I have, which is also the pricing. Yes, even though the Passport is a very good value, it's an expensive SUV, and Honda has increased the pricing significantly for 2026 versus the 2025 model. It's around $3,000 to $4,000 more than it was before, which is a pretty big price increase. The price increase is especially big in Canada, which is probably due to the fact that the Passport is manufactured in the United States. The second downside with the Passport has to do with that V6 engine, which, although it has great performance and reliability, the biggest problem with it is the fuel economy. It is not a very fuel efficient engine. The Passport is only rated to achieve roughly between 18 to 23 miles per gallon, or between 10 to 13 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not that great, but basically what you would expect for an SUV like this. And then we have problem number 3 with the Passport, which is that it's not offered as a hybrid. Yes, unfortunately, unlike Toyota, Honda still does not have a hybrid drivetrain for its larger vehicles. Supposedly one is in development and is coming over the next couple of years, but as of now, the only way you can get a Passport like other large Honda models is with a V6. It's V6 or nothing. And then we have problem number 4, which is also tied to the fact that this has a V6 engine, and that is that it uses a timing belt. Now, to me, that's definitely not a deal breaker, because I would still take a V6 over a 4-cylinder engine, and the reliability of these engines are historically very good. But still, you have to be mindful that every 100,000 miles or 160,000 kilometers, you will need to perform a timing belt replacement, which typically goes around $1,500. So that's an expense you're going to have to plan for. And finally, we have problem number 5 with the new Passport, which is some of its off-road features. I do appreciate that Honda was going for an off-road look and an off-road feel with the new Passport. With that said, I'm not sure whether it was really necessary to give the Passport standard off-road tuned suspension and off-road all-terrain tires. Even though it drives perfectly fine and is still a very comfortable SUV, I can't help but feel that the Passport would be even more street-friendly and even more comfortable if it just had regular soft suspension and regular tires. And one last minor complaint that's an honorable mention is the fact that it has a push-button gear selector instead of a proper mechanical gear selector, which would have been a lot nicer to see. But those are really my only minor complaints with the new Passport, because aside from that, this is a fantastic SUV that does a lot of things extremely well. It has a great driving experience, great performance with that V6 engine. The interior is incredibly spacious and well designed, well put together. It has a great reputation for reliability, and I just really like the whole rugged off-road look that Honda is going for and how they really differentiated the design from the larger Pilot. I think this is an SUV that's going to give a lot of the competition in the off-road segment a serious run for their money, especially the Toyota 4Runner, which was also redesigned this year. In fact, I think it's time to get both the Passport and the 4Runner back to back for a comparison video to find out which one is the best off-road SUV, which I'm going to do very soon. But in the meantime, let me know what you think of the 2026 Honda Passport. Is this an SUV that you would consider buying? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other videos up in the corner. And if you are planning to purchase a vehicle and you live in Ontario, Know that OMVIC is the vehicle sales regulator that's responsible for administering and enforcing the rules that dealerships must follow. Learn more about your consumer protection rights by visiting omvic.ca. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to visit carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.